Alright guys, I think I'm actually streaming now. Just gonna double check, make sure that comes up over here. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing what I think I should be seeing. I'm gonna go ahead and relog this to make sure it's all good, so give me 1 second. It's the part I like the least about doing all this, is just the technical wackiness and the trying to figure it out constantly. It says I do have a live going. I'm just gonna check, and that looks like it is the case. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me. And I'm just gonna be making controls here for this character. We've got the bone rig in here. All of this will be dynamic to some degree, and all of this is animatable hair strands and pieces. I still need to do this other backside, but these strands are able to work. I probably could go ahead and strand this, but I think what I'm going to do right now is worry about the face controls. So with that, on frame 0 on our bone layer, I'm going to zoom in here and start adding some bones. And I hope that I have this already laid out exactly the way I need to. Some certain things have to be obviously certain ways. I'm going to make sure I just close up a bunch of these other ones, like this one. And we're just going to go into this head folder. And let's make a control for the eyebrows. And we could go, let's go with separate eyebrow controls to start with. So I'm going to make a new bone, making sure we have no bones selected here. Let's just make sure that none of these are selected. I'm going to come in here and just create a bone like so. Hopefully this won't lag too much with the streaming software going, and the fact that there's more layers in here than I really probably should have. I'm going to name this bone brow R. And we're going to select that bone and show the label for it right here. And now we can come in here to our bone and make this a smart bone dial. So we're going to go up and down both with these. Over 100, I don't care. Let's just take this down to 48 just to make this a little more manageable, a little easier to work with in my opinion. So when this one goes down for that right brow, I'm going to make our right brow go down. So we're just going to come here and find our head right brow layer. Now this can be just up and down, but you can also control every one of these points. And I'm just going to go with a layer here movement. So we're just going to kind of come down a little bit. And in fact, we can angle that slightly if we wanted to, just to kind of give that a little bit more of a motion. It doesn't need to move a lot apparently to do what it needs to do, so we're just going to leave it at that. That is the end of that motion. So now we're going to come back out into brow R2. This will be the upward motion of that. We're going to come back over here to frame 48 again for this action, and we're going to lift it up, maybe even angle it slightly up for a slight surprise. And I think for this would probably be good to have the ability to go a little more extreme on it, only because of what the subject matter is for the video. So we'll just kind of make sure that can do what it does there. So back to our main line, we now have our control visible. We should. Let me find it here. Oh, we have to go to the bone layer. There's our control. And we can take that and manipulate this to check that everything works, which it does not, which is my favorite thing in the world. Let's move this onto frame 1 though, which is probably the problem. And we'll just pull this down. There it goes down. And then this will make it go up. So not too bad. I am having a lot of weird graphic anomalies. I don't know what's going on with it all. I don't believe it is, it might be the software, it might be my video card. I think it's the amount of layers I've got going on, to be honest with you. There's a lot. It is a little sluggish. Alright, so let's go ahead and create a control now for the other eyebrow. So without anything selected here, turn off that. I'm going to create a back on the bone layer, make sure we're there, and frame 0 with no keyframes here. We can now create a new bone here. We'll call this one brow L, do the same thing to it. So let's go ahead and select it, show the label of it, of course, and we can make that a little bigger. Kind of put this the same spot. Not sure why the label is smaller. It's a little weird. But cool. Either way, we'll select that bone, and now we'll come down here to the brow L, and we'll have it selected. And we're going to go ahead and create a smart bone dial. Well, you know what? Let me go back to the bone layer. Forgot. Got to do that first. With that one selected, we're going to go here at bone, make smart bone dial. Very important that that becomes a smart bone dial that makes it a control. So separate for up and down. Fine. Those are actions. And now we're frame 48. We're going to see what happens when we go to frame 48. That one's going to go over. These will have to be moved apart because obviously they'll overlap. But with that done, we will grab our layer now for that side, which is going to be the brow L. Going to angle it down some, and of course move it down. You can see that hair turning black there. That's because of this graphic issue I'm having. I don't know what's going on or why. Okay, so that's good there. We're going to go to the up version now. Come here to frame 48 again. And we're going to lift that dude up. Rotate that out some. Maybe even higher. It depends on what the other one looks like when we get there. But overall, I think that's pretty good. Let's see how close they are together. So we'll go back out to the main line and back up to the... Let's just go to frame 1 here, and we'll move both of them now. And we'll see that this one goes down, this one now goes down a little lower. We're going to come up and raise it up, and this one will raise up how high? Yeah, that's perfectly fine for both. And now I'm going to make a separate control. Also, we need to move those. So I'm going to get rid of those keyframes. And I'm going to go back to frame 0. And let's separate these out a little bit. They're a little bit too close together. I'm going to make another bone that controls those bones. So with none of those selected right now, I'm going to create a new bone on frame 0. This is going to be our kind of our control for the brows. So I'm going to call this brows. And we're going to make that also a smart bone dial. Yeah, perfectly fine. And at frame 48, they will go down. And we don't have to do any of the other special stuff. Now we can just take our other... Alright, what's going on here? Why isn't it not letting me? I guess I can do that here. Go here and here. I'm going to double check that that's correct. Looks like that is perfectly exactly what I want. So that controls both brows at the same time. Then we're going to go to brows 2. I'm going to come over here. Brows 2 is up, so we're going to take both of these dials and move those up. So now we can control them together, or we can do those independently. So now back onto the main line here, we can go and check our movement, make sure that it's not going to show there, but we see all the controls moving together. If we go to frame 1, where it will show us what it's doing, we can say up and down from a single control. And then if we want, we can come in here and now go, what? And even make this one go, what? You know what I mean? So there you go, and we'll delete that. Go back to frame 0. that is all we need for the eyebrows, if you can believe it. We're going to need to do an entire head turn as well, which gets a little wacky, but we're going to do the separate face part controls first. The mouths I'm not worrying about until we draw new mouths. And, you know, we'll have these able to... This one will probably be staying closed. We can make it smile bigger or less, blah, blah, blah. And then we'll have to put in switch mouths where, which he opens the mouth, that's a new mouth, but then we can manipulate that with controls. We can have one that has a whistling or a pucker or whatever, you know what I mean? And they can form into those as well, but there'll be ways they do that. All right, the eyes are the ones that are probably the most crazy. And we're going to go here and just check out that first. So in my eye layer here, I've got all these layers per eye. I'm going to close up anything I don't need. I guess I do need pretty much all of this. The iris, yeah, that's going to... I don't need to move that just yet. I can make them dilate and everything, which is cool. But we're just going to start with the basic kind of eye here. I'm going to go back to our let me close the... Going back here to our bone layer, do we know where our controls are? These can be made smaller or whatever we need to do for those. They will get pretty much all over your screen as you work, but it's just part of how it goes. I can move all of these now, though, if I think about it, just a bit closer to the head. Make them a little more manageable and easier to fit more stuff on the screen. I just really try to keep these from overlapping. Plus, these can be made smaller, which is probably a good idea for just these ones that are the kind of the secondary ones, because I'll be primarily using just the main control. But this kind of helps manage some space. And we'll pretty much leave there. It doesn't matter what size these are so much. I mean, as long as I can work with them is what matters. And then I'll move the main control down to here. Alright, and then now we're going to do our eye control. So without anything selected, again, that's very important, but none of these are selected. We add a new bone. This is going to be... let's do eyes open and close. It's probably the most difficult, I would think. So I'm just going to go... This is going to be the probably right eye. So eye blink. I'm just going to put blink. We don't need eye. So blink right. That's the blink right bone. We're going to have to make that one a smart bone dial as well. Blink right, yeah, all that's fine for now. And we're going to make sure that it's showing its label, which it already is. So when this comes up to blink right, we need to form the eye to be in the shape we want it to be in when it's blinked. So this is multiple layers we have to work on at the same time. So the actual opening of the eye is going to be right here. This absolutely has to be manipulated, for lack of a better word. So we're going to take that and do point animation to where this is going to come down like so. And we can even make sure maybe the weld is off so it doesn't accidentally click and snap together. This, just ignore the color. This one's going to have to turn into a peak. And then this one will move to be all the way closed. We'll pull these down to do the same. Looks like I might have to put a stroke around this. It just depends. We'll see. This one's going to go to a peak as well. And that one's going to go like pretty much like this. Make sure we get this all the way closed. So now when this moves, we get this happening. Okay, so that's the actual closing of the eye. We need the eyelash to move with it, though. This is the part that's going to suck, probably. So we'll go out here to the eyelash top. There's a lot of points. I'm going to try and just change the ones that are kind of toward the bottom and then move the top ones down kind of to match that. So this is going to sort of just move these all straight down. I'll worry about the ends toward the outside later. These are going to just kind of move straight down to here, and this one essentially to here. Then I gotta either magnet select or select all these. I'm gonna try the magnet first. This lets you select a group. As you can see, that's really huge right now. You can select a group of these all at once. So let me just make this smaller. I wish they kind of let you roll it eternally, but they don't. And with that, we can sort of take these and just include the ones inside the magnet, sort of push those down. We're going to lose some of our I'm going to have to move some of these manually, but probably should have just moved them all manually, to be honest. Having to do that right now anyway, aren't I? So we'll just... let me undo. I'm going to do these manually. Kind of messing them up. So we're just going to go grab this grouping and this one. Pull them straight down as well. And we will now only get these. Whoops. Only get... let's get these others to get this out of the way. Pretty much all of these are going to have to be straight down this point right here anyway. Just to get those more correct. We will grab these now and get that group lower. They're going to get wonky until we fix pretty much all of them, so not worried about that yet. I'll have to eventually go through here one at a time and readjust all this too. Just trying to keep them mostly consistent with each other, with themselves, where they just move as a unit. You said unit. Yes, that's funny. Everyone's allowed to laugh. Alright, so... like that. Alright, now let's check the outside ones, which are going to be a little more difficult. I have to do the same thing, but not kind of destroy their overall shape. These are going to have to be sort of crunched in so that all these can fit when they're pushed down. Mostly kind of individual, I think. It's going to get messy for a minute, I can already tell. Kind of like that. Some of these I don't want them to totally like flatten out, like the bottom ones there. I'll just grab these maybe, and then I can flatten them a little more. Probably mess with these a little to keep them from overlapping horribly in the wrong way. These don't have to be that far down either, so that will probably be okay. This, let's go like so. So I want them to still have a overall shape like they kind of do, but they need to look like they get compressed is the main point. I think that kind of works. And then this shadow of the eye, obviously, that's the eyelash shadow, of course, needs to move with the eyelash. So that's going to have to come down. Let's try it with the magnet A little smaller maybe. See if we can push more points around at the same time, which I like to do. It saves time. Okay, not bad. And all the while I'm trying to make sure that I'm keeping the kind of overall shape of things so it doesn't get all squashed flat or drift from one part to another. That's why I'm mostly moving up and down instead of side to side on any of it. Then if I want to pull this shadow out a little bit, it's not going to hurt because you're probably going to expect to see a little bit of it toward the bottom of the eye maybe when it closes. So let's see now. Overall, there might be a midpoint where everything's off, but that's not horrible. I think the outside part of the lash still needs to kind of come down and do something to look like it's still in motion with the other part of the eye. So let's go ahead and drop these. Oops, not those. Click out of there and grab some of these. So to pull that down. It's okay if it hangs over the lower. That's kind of part of what's doing. It's going to help this move a little. It's got to have some movement to look like it's connected. So I'm just kind of adjusting these slightly. Let's see. Yeah, that's a bit better. The only thing I don't like is that this sort of feels like it just sort of sits there too. Let's try that. Yeah, it's better. Okay, now the bottom lash could push up a little if I wanted it to, which will give it a more of a realistic kind of feel. So let's go to the lash bottom. Probably give it a little bit of movement if nothing else. Maybe a little this. It depends on what it looks like when it... Yes, that's what I didn't want. So let's get rid of that. When this comes down, all I kind of want is the... Maybe the lashes sort of twinge a little. Like they're slightly compressed and shifting. Nothing too big. See if that helps. Kinda. That's not horrible. Alright, I'm alright with that. Got the shadow coming down and everything, which is good. Okay. That works for one side. Now we need also the blink R2, which is going to be the wider version of the eye. So this is going to be everything opening. So the main eye again. And then we're going to start pulling it open for a wide kind of scared eye. I don't want to really change the shape too badly, but this we can drop the lower one a bit. This is going to be a little bit more comical. So I'm going to move with the bottom eyelash, see what we can do with this magnet. There we go. Just saves a little bit of time, allowing you to move multiple points at the same time. Like I said, this might get a little squashy, but I'm going to check. Yeah, it's a little bit. Let me come in and tweak these now. Oops, because what I did was separate those from the upper ones a little bit. These are not going to stay, you know, perfect while they move at this point, but they're going to need to be somewhat in the same vicinity that they should be in as that moves. So I think that works fine for opening the eye. And then the top lash, which is right now the bane of my existence. So the eyelash top. I think the whole thing should kind of come up. So I'm going to grab pretty much all these for the moment. Get the main movement out of this like this. And then I can go back and pull these bottom points down some, I think, like this. maybe push those out to get more of the rounded shape. And start to pull these down to keep the corner. And we do want to push, oh, I guess we already are pushing that up, aren't we? So I want to sort of adjust the curvature then of this. Let me make sure it's the only one selected. Adjust the curvature of this some now. Maybe take our magnet and test here real quick first. That's not horrible. I'm going to thin out this side here though, because I think I pushed a little too hard on these parts. Then their parts. So either way, it compresses one way or the other to do this. So squishes together. That's an easier word to understand. So there we go. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I think that works. So that's one eye with the widening and the blinking on that eye. Let's go back to now the main line here. Hey, thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that very much. Hopefully I saw you in time. That was about 30 minutes ago, so 20 minutes ago. Sorry about that. Now let's see on the main line here, and let's go back to our bone layer so we can look at the actual control. This is going to blink the right eye completely. I'm going to make sure I'm on my frame 1 for this. And we just see now that that blinks the eye. And it widens the eye. So obviously for the widening, we also need to move the shadow. So back to here, I'm going to delete these keyframes that we're not going to want to save. And let's go back into, this is my blink R2, where the eye gets wider. Pull that down, make sure we are on the correct layer here in the eye. This is going to be the eyelash shadow. We're going to just want to pull that up to where it is up against the eyelash. So I'm going to use the magnet tool, which I didn't use for a long time, but man, I've started using it a lot lately. It's just a quick way to move a bunch of points around at the same time. I highly recommend that. It'll save you time. Alright, so let's just get these up here. Just be careful of the loss of volume. If you're like moving an arm, it will flatten out a bit, so you got to be careful of things like that, but for the most part it's really good for stuff. Alright, so I think that works, and let me just kind of make that a little nicer. So we'll just see here and that goes. And you just want to check it all the way through, because sometimes you get weird glitches in the frames or something. And I think that works. So now we'll move back out to the main line and go back to the control here and just double check that that is functioning correctly. I think that works pretty good. Oh, got a little glitch there, but that's just the speed of the animation happening. You can see that in the bottom lash there. If I go slower, it's fine. I do not like where the... Oh, I guess it's fine. It was the speed, because I was finding it looked like the lash was separating from the eyeball. So that's fine. All right, cool. Let's get the other blink happening here. I'm going to go back to frame 0 so it just pops. Yeah, see this weird color anomalies that are happening? Kind of tick me off after a while. Wish they would work that out. Okay, and now they don't render, I don't think, so that's at least one good thing. Okay, so we're going to not click on anything. Let me just go over here and click on the background, and we're going to create another bone on frame 0 on the bone layer. And we're going to call this one Blink L. There's a lot of stuff that's involved in, even in what seems to be a simple cartoon. It's easier, in my opinion, to do 3D, to be honest with you, because there's so much stuff you have to set up for the 2D stuff. Show label, Blink L. And now we're going to create an action and a smart bone dial from that bone. So let me go to the bone and smart bone dial. That is fine, and we'll come over here to frame 48. This is going to be the blink of this eye. We do want to make sure these match each other. Look at that. I hate that. All right. So with that, we're going to come down here now to the eye. Again, this is IR. We're going to go with IL. Make sure we don't touch that other eye at all. So I'm going to come down here to I, and this is the opening. And I'm only going to mess with the tops here. Pull these down. I probably do want to peak that one at this point, meaning flatten it completely. No curvature. We'll do that. We'll do that. This guy needs to be lifted up now. There we go. Something to make sure it's closed. And then this one will need to come down. This one needs to be Control P'd. And then now we can check that eye opening. It looks pretty good. Working for me. So still here. Obviously we need to move the shadow of the eyelash here. So I'm going to grab that. Start magneting this down using that magnet tool. Squashing it down a little bit. Make sure it's not really on the top of the eye anymore. Something like that's probably okay. Trying to move these, like I said, as straight downward as possible. A little shadow sticking out of the bottom is probably good. So once again, just gonna grab that and push it there. Grab these and kind of slightly move those up. Just gonna pull that here and then grab this one and push that back. All right. Hopefully this is helping you guys understand just by watching this stuff happen like in an actual setting. This is an actual video for an actual client. She does a lot of cool dance music and whatnot, and it's really good. So check her stuff out if you want. Her name is Fawn. That's going to be at Fawn Music, Fawn Music. And okay, so there is that. Now the top eyelash, which is obviously going to be my most hated thing to have to do here. I'm going to pull some of these. I'm trying to do it with the magnet tool. Don't know if it's going to be the most practical way of doing this. I'll probably do the top like I did the other one with the probably just use the standard move tool here. I think that's going to once again be the best way. I notice I've got a different brush stroke on this eyelash, which I like that stroke. I'll have to put it on the other one too. I'm going to move these all down to where we get that sense that all of it is moved, including the edges here. So I'm just going to grab, let's say, these and push those down and compress those down by scaling them. Let's see when I get out of here if those look right. I'm going to grab all of these, push those down. Are we doing something through there? I'm going to rotate this just a little bit to kind of give that alternate motion or direction, and then start to come around here. Just going to grab these pieces. Whoops, didn't mean to move that one. I'm going to grab this one, these points, and try to start to figure out where they go in relation to each other. I'm going to see if I can get most of this moved in one shot here. And then, of course, I'll have to, whoops, do this. There's a lot of whoops today. Do this a little bit at a time here, just to make sure I'm getting these moving without crushing anything too weird Yeah, that little weirdness is always going to bother me, I guess. So I'm going to deselect everything. Grab this line of stuff. I'm just grabbing this. I'm going to deal with this chunk here in a second. It's going to be a little more manual. So this down. I need to balance this with the other one here in a second. See how far this all needs to come down compared to the other. This I'm going to move separately. And then this is going to be moved a bit separately now. So I'm kind of smashing these points together. Wish there was a quick way to go from, I don't know the shortcut is what I'm saying, to go from the move to the select tool here. I'm sure there's a shortcut that I just don't know. Watch this. Let's see. Yep, G and T. So that would help, knowing that. It's going to shift these around, flatten that back. There's no reason for those to come in so far. And maybe this is right. We'll find out when I go back here to the main line and check when I blink both eyes. So let's just kind of move back to the bone layer. And on this bone layer now I can see the controls. And I can say blink left and blink right. So the blink right looks good. The blink left is okay. But I'm noticing it's a lot thicker. I'm probably going to want to thicken these up because I think this volume might look a little better than the volume of the other one when this closes. So, and this one they kind of almost over squash, maybe a little bit. Okay, so let's go back into the blink right. The blink right one, and I'm just gonna fluff up the eyelashes. I know I'm making that sound easy. It's not. So back into the eyelash top of the right side here. It's going to magnet some of these points back up here like this. To just kind of fluff them out and give that a little more volume to this part of the eyelashes or the eyelid when it closes. So it looks a little better. Let's go back to mainline and check that out now. It's back to my controls. What I'm really wanting to do, guys, is get a new computer. This one's pretty great, and it has a good video card in it. It's an RTX. It's a Quadro, but it's not the big giant Quadro. Didn't want to spend $7,000 just on the video card, but this Quadro is old enough now that like the new 50 series cards kind of blow it away. And that's what I would like to do, is just get the whole new computer that can handle the 50 series card and do that. So anybody wants to help out with that, let me know. I'm looking to do that, and also get my butt back to probably back to Albuquerque or something like that. So we'll see. So that one closes now. This one closes. They look much more the same. This one opens wide. This one obviously doesn't yet. So, you know, we can do this stuff all day long. The reason why that's looking weird is because I'm moving it very quickly. You don't have to move it quickly for setting the keyframes and stuff, but it's trying to keep up with itself basically. All right, so this one blinks just fine. And with that all set back to 0, we need to do the eye opening one, which is pretty easy. This is just stretched up a little. I'm leaving the volume and everything in these, but I am pulling down the bottom one, so I got to remember that. Okay, so on the blink L2, I'm going to move forward, and that will give us the keyframe for setting up the eye here. This is going to be the eye left. So we're going to go back to the eye shape again. And just pull those down. It's so weird when the stuff goes wacky like that. This is going to be the surprised eye, so I'm going to make it quite a bit bigger. Not cartoony per se. It is a cartoon, but you know what I mean. And then now we'll go with our eyelashes. We'll do with the eyelash shadow here in a second. Alright, so magnet. This is going to be a little bigger magnet than that now. It's probably about maybe the 0.4. Let's kind of shift these up. Something along these lines. Just spread these farther up. I'm not trying to move this side too much. I'm trying to mainly get the part that's going to be at the edge of that eyelid. We'll check that. And then my eyelash bottom. Sounds like a dirty phrase. I don't know why. We'll go like this. Let's see if that works for the wide. It's a little creepy. Now the eyelash shadow obviously needs to be moved. I don't know if anybody else has that glitch happening with the color and the black areas popping in every now and then. See, like that? Weird. If you do, I mean, I can turn on the GPU caching or turn off. Sometimes that helps it. Sometimes it makes it a lot worse. So, see, there it goes. It's still going on, even though I have that undone. And GPU caching tends to usually make it better if it's happening, but right now it seems to be horrible. Okay. So, let's try now back in the main line and on the bone layer. Our controls, we'll move the blink down here. We'll move the blink here. Looks good. We'll open the eyes and spread them wide, and open this one and spread it wide. And I think they both match pretty well, so we'll go with that. This one, I think it didn't move the eyeball. There we go. That's better. You got to make sure that when you open slow, everything follows. I think that looks okay. So that's our eye blinks done. So now I'm back at frame 0 again, reset. We're gonna do the eye movement. Well, actually, before I do that, I'm gonna put a control. A control that blinks both these at the same time, so where we don't have to do each one each time. So that's just as easily as going back and having nothing selected, adding yourself another bone here, calling this one blink. This is the main blink control. Make this one a bone and a smart bone dial. And blink, we'll say okay, and it should, yeah, there we go. And when we bring this up, we're not going to have to move any of those points. We just are going to make sure that when we close, this one goes down. This one goes down as well. And the blink 2, we'll double click into, is going to be them getting wider at the same time. So we'll just move this up slowly and move this one up slowly. There we go. So nothing happens glitchy wise. And then we can go back up here. Look, you can see all, with just that little amount of stuff, look at all these controls we've made. The brow controls, all of those brows, all the blink controls. Crazy. You wouldn't believe the amount of layers I have here inside of folders of just hair. Some of it not necessary, I realized, but hey, I can't control that at the time. Alright, so anyway, back on frame 0, back on our bone layer. I'm going to move this brow control here just down a little bit because it can be. The blink one's down, so I figured it's kind of squish them all better. So now we have blinks and all that. Now I want to move the eyeballs left and right and then up and down. So new controls for those two. So with nothing selected, I am going to go and put these under because I'm trying to do these a little bit like top to bottom. So we have brows and blink, and then we have eyes left and right, up and down, and so on and so on. Just so we have kind of a, not a face layout, but, you know, something that corresponds to the face. So I'm just going to make a bone here. And, you know, we could do these with pin bones, where it just follows the pin bone, but wonder if I want to do them that way or not. There's a whole rigging thing I can set up to where there's like a ring and you move the thing within the ring, and it, you know, but it has to have bones that follow other bones and stuff. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to do a simple, just the simple left and right, up and down dials here. So I L/R for this guy. We're going to make it a smart bone dial. It will automatically give us our name. We want that. The way it's set up is perfectly fine. We're going to go when it's to the left now. All your eyes in a skull to the left. And we're going to move that like so. And I'm going to go find my eye right. And this has got to be eye right, left, right. So we're going to rename that here in a bit. So we're going to find, this is going to be, obviously the pupil needs to move, the iris needs to move. So all of that, we don't want the iris shadow to move. So just the green center, just the iris. So these things have to move at the same time. It's kind of crazy. I think what I will do is take everything as a layer and we'll move it instead of all the little individual parts. We don't want the highlights to move. So at frame 48, this all needs to move this way. And the pupil also at that frame will move this way. Now this does clip, which is good. It's what we want. Because we set that up to be underneath and to have the masking. So that is the eye left and right for the right eye. So I need to go back out of here. Well, before we do it, I'm going to do this and then rename. I'll do this first. So we're going to go into the other one up at frame 48. Now we need to do it the same thing, but the other direction. So how far do I want the pupil to go? Something kind of like this. And now my iris layer is going to move over as well, making it to where it is also centered with the pupil. Let's just make sure that works. Okay, that works for me. Okay, and so back out to the main line. I should come over here on our bone layer just so I don't get lost and rename this eye left and right. This is going to be, that would be our main control if it was named this. We need to change that name to, let me select the bone. This needs to actually be named IR left and right. So the eye right, left and right. We can even put a, I don't know, a dash or something to where we know, you know, that does that. It's the right eye moving left and right. So that's what we want. And we're going to do the same thing for the other eye. And then we'll do a control for both of them. So I'm going to move this bone down real quick, just to here. And then we're going to make sure nothing is selected and do the other eye. So I'm going to now make another bone on the bone layer right here. I'm going to grab this and go up. Rename this IL-L/R. If that doesn't confuse you enough. And then we're going to make that a bone dial. And then we'll have it with that name. And this will control the left eye. So when it's this way, the left eye pupil and so forth. Let's close up the right eye. The left eye iris and pupil. We'll start with the pupil. We'll move the layer. It's going to go here. I'm trying not to get it in the crack down there. And then also the iris of that one will move into where the pupil is centered somewhat there. That should work. Let's make sure. Okay, good enough, I think. And then we're going to go to the other direction to where the, let's do the pupil first, so we know exactly where that's going to be pointed. Make sure that this is the left eye, that is the pupil. Move that over where we want it, and then the iris layer will be moved where we want it. And the reason why I'm not moving the highlights is that the highlights are just a reflection on the eyeball. They don't move. Oops. Hang on, I did that totally wrong. Make sure on the pupil, I did it wrong also. Yep. So I gotta make sure that I move 48 frames ahead. All right, so with that one, this is gonna be in, let me make sure that, okay, that one's right. So on this one, at frame 48 now, we're gonna move the pupil inward and then the iris inward. We'll go the other direction. But the reason why you do that is so the looks like the eyeball is wet, but the highlights stay where they're put, like they would naturally. So now let's go back into the. Am I doing this wrong? I am doing this wrong. Okay, so undo, undo. This needs to be for this one. This one will go here. It's very easy to get confused. The iris now will move, especially when I have to do this more than once. Okay, something like that. And now the second movement will be here. Isn't number 2 a movement? It is a movement within itself. Move this here, and then we'll go ahead and move the iris that way. I'm just talking myself through this so I don't get lost again. Okay. Now we'll come back out to the main line and check all that out and make sure our eyes move back and forth and don't look too goofy because of how I may or may not have done it. So we're going to check the right eye. Whoops, we don't want to do that. We want to make sure we're... Why isn't this working? We are able to manipulate... Okay, let me try it on frame 0 then, or frame 1 then. Does it move? No, it does not. This one moves this way and then jumps. That one moves that way fine and then jumps too quickly here. Okay, I need to redo them. Don't know what I did wrong. I'm going to get rid of that. Move back to frame 0. Try this again to make sure nothing's happening there as expected. So these are wrong. My favorite. That's always my favorite. So the right one, I think, isn't working either, which is weird. I'm going to test it. So that one only moves. It doesn't do what it's supposed to. So we're going to delete that bone. Delete this. We're going to go back to here. We're going to start that process of the eye moving left and right over because I got something totally screwed up. Delete those. Delete those. Fine. With nothing selected now, got to start this again. Sometimes you have to do that. I'm just going to go here. This one's going to be eye right, left and right. So we'll go L/R. I'm just going to do it here. Oops. And then we know that that one will be called that, and that bone will now become a smart bone dial. I'm just going to work one at a time here real quick. This will go that direction. So I'm only worried about the right eye. And I'm going to come down here to the right eye, go down into my pupil, and I'm going to move that pupil. We can use a layer. We can use the points, but I'm going to do it as a layer. And we're going to move the iris to match. Okay. That is eye left and right. Eye right, left and right, 1. We're going to jump into eye left and right, 2. And this will be, and that's eye right, left and right. Very easy to get confused with those types of naming. Move this pupil in here. Move its iris in here. Make sure that this looks the way we want to when we jump back out to the main line and to the bone layer. Not going to worry about the other one yet. Just want to make sure this one is good and correct and does what it should. So back on frame 1, we're just going to move this one left and right, and that works perfect, and that works perfect. That's what we want right there, guys. So make sure that's all good. Delete those. With nothing selected now, we're only going to worry about the left eye. So I'm going to come in here, and we are going to go back to the bone layer, which we're on, and frame 0. That's where you do all your setup. And we're going to go back and draw another bone. This one's going to be eye left. Space L/R. Okay, and there we go. And then that one now gets made into a smart bone dial as well. And we only worry about it. This is the eye left. We move up to 48 frames. It's gone over, which is good. We're going to move this to her right. So let's just come down here to eye right. We want the eye left. This is going to be pupil. Just grab the layer. This is going to go this way. And then the iris, same thing. Now this isn't the animating, this is just setting up the controls. Alright, so now that's we're going to have to delete these other eye lefts, I think, because they're going to conflict. So now here, this is going to be the right version. Move the pupil. And if this doesn't work, we're going to have to start over on this eye, which sucks, but whatever gets it done. Okay, and there's that side that way. Let's find out, because I think these might need to be deleted, or the ones we just did. We shall find out. Just want to make sure which ones are associated with that particular control. So let's see. We've got eye left and right now. Let's make sure that this goes this way, which that does not work anymore, of course. You know what? Frame 1. We'll go to frame 1 before I start complaining. That one does work. Her right eye. And her left eye also works. So I'm just going to leave all of those controls, those actions alone. Go to this way. That's not great. And go this way, which is good. Now we can come back and make a control that does both eyes at the same time. So I'm going to move these, hopefully safely now, down a little bit. And then make another bone after deselecting everything. And let's go ahead and go right here, frame 0. We'll call this just strictly eye left and right. This controls both. And I got to make sure this has not that question mark in it, but a slash. Cool. Okay. With that, now we will go ahead and make a smart bone dial out of it. Perfect. Say OK. All is well. When it goes this way, we come in here and grab our control or our transform for this bone and go that way. Transform for this bone and go that way. Perfect. And then we go into the eye left and right here. We're going to grab up to 48 that direction. And we're going to say you turn this way and you turn this way. So make it much easier when we're animating to move both eyes at the same time, because 99% of the time that's what we will want. Cool. All right, so with that, let's go back to our main line. We're going to be on frame 1 now, and now I can move these both with this one control. You'll see how well those work. Yep, perfect. Okay, so now back on frame 0 again. We're going to do the same thing for ups and downs. So with nothing selected, once again, we will add a new bone. This is going to be, you know what, we're never probably ever going to do these separately up and down. So I'm going to make one control for this only. And this will be I up / down. Okay, and then that's going to be made into a control. So bone dial, smart bone dial. Perfect. And I'm going to go up here to frame 48. This will be the down version. And with that in that position, we are going to go do the same thing and grab the pupil of the, let's do the right eye first. I always like to work left to right. So we're going to go with the right eye pupil. And we're going to pull that down as far as we think it will need to be moved. I'm going to do layer animation instead of point. I always like to do point, and it does make a difference in some cases, but I'm going to do that. And then our iris, since we're going to move everything at the same time, we'll use the layer for it. That's the down. And we're going to go with the other eye now as well. So let's go back to the left eye. So I have that one misnamed, so it's a little confusing. And we're going to grab its pupil. We're going to move it down as straight as I can go there. And now its iris also down. Pretty good. So now that's our down. So now we'll do the up, down 2, which will be the up. So at frame 48. We're going to go back to our eye right, and I'm going to grab its pupil. So yes, if you're watching and you've never seen how animation is done, this is just setting up controls. And this isn't typical standard traditional animation. This is for rigged animation, 2D. It's a lot more difficult because there's so many things you have to set up in advance. So there's an up. I think that'll be fine for up. And then we're going to go with the other eye pupil. We're going to move it up. Pretty much the same. And then its iris also up. That was the easiest part of doing the eyes right there. So I'm going to go back to our bone layer, check our controls. It's a good look. It's very cool. So zooming out. Might want to make those ups more up, because if she gets brighter, like wider eyes, and looks up, maybe I'd want her to be able to move pretty extreme if we wanted to. So the pupil of that one, make sure we're on the up down up. I'm going to make this pupil quite a bit more up, and then its iris quite a bit more up, just for a more extreme version. That's the right eye, and then the left eye. Pay no attention to things going black. It's a graphic error. I think it's the program. Hope it's not the video card. And then the iris. We'll move up farther too. I want this more extreme, an obvious upward look. So now back to our controls. We'll be able to see this with our little joysticks now that we've made. And we're going to go back to the main line and check the controls on this. So let's hope for one that these still go left and right. We do have to move to frame 1 for that, so let's do that. These still move left and right, just perfectly fine. And then the up down should move down and up, and you see how the highlight stays in position. It makes the eye look wet. What's cool is you can always go up and down and left and right. You can actually get this to move in a full circle with a combination of moves. Pretty cool. Okay, cool. So we'll just re-zero all that. Get rid of all these keyframes. There's the eyes opening, closing, the eyebrows, up and down, all those controls. So the eyebrows up and down, the blinking and widening, and the eyes left and right, and the eyes up and down. So if we wanted to raise the brows here, make the eyes wider like she's scared of something that she's looking down at, not a problem. Cool. All right, so that are those controls. The mouths are going to be definitely more involved because they're going to be switch out mouths plus control button positions. The nose will have to have probably at least 3 noses because if she turns completely to the right, it can't stay perfectly flat. It'll stay that to a certain point, and then it'll change to a right-sided nose and a left-sided nose, depending upon which version, which direction she's facing. If you're watching, say hello, and that'd be cool. Let me know what you guys are thinking of everything. And then we are going to wind up doing a head turn. The head turn is going to be a little bit difficult because all this flipping hair that I've had to kind of do the way I'm doing. So it's going to be one of those things that's going to take a decent amount of adjusting when the head turns. Obviously, the eyes will slide to one side. The brows will slide to one side. They have to squish as this eye gets farther or more to this side as it turns. It'll be smaller and actually squish a little. Same with the brows. This one will get bigger and widen out. The hair is going to be not my favorite thing. In fact, we'll have to do some layer animations where this piece of hair, both these pieces of hair, will jump from in front of the shoulder to behind, and then everything squishes and shoves over and does crazy stuff. It should be fine. Mouths do the same thing, so we're not going to worry about that. Body turn will involve the choker moving, the arms animating from front to back, layer animation. Other parts of the chest doing the same thing. You get the idea. But she's not going to be dynamic. She's not going to be spinning 360 degrees. She's also not going to be doing karate kicks and stuff. So the animation is relatively minimal, but I want her capable of moving, dancing, turning, talking, singing, and looking at stuff. So anything from the back, I'll draw a brand new figure from the back side and with no face and so forth. It's just looking from the back. Maybe a nose sticking out or something if that's what's necessary. So that's pretty much where I am at. So I'm going to go, but let me know what you guys think. We'll save this off. We now have some face controls, the minimums, and yeah, should be good to go. All right, cool. Talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.